Hello, Earth Signs, and welcome to February 2021. You're reading a general reading, and it's for the month of February. So, thank you for joining me, and hopefully you'll get something out of the cards that are going to come out for me today. And if you do, please consider subscribing. Thank you in advance. I give you the inquiry deck. And I'm going to let this deck drive the overall energy of the reading. The card that we pick. And here it is. What's the next step? Well, these cards that have been coming out in for January and now for February, they have been right on the money for kind of the way to play the year as we go along. So what's the next step? Let's keep that in mind as we go on through the reading. And I present now the split screen so that you can see what I'm doing while I see it. We'll start with the yin line. So certainly if we're starting off with a what's the next step kind of a mentality here, it's pretty plain to see that the ideal conditions for going to the next step is the completion of the old step. And maybe that's the portal, maybe that's the gateway to this whole line. And what seems to be wanted out of this line? Well, a happiness factor and a harmonious factor, and also a challenging factor, but some factor that needs empowerment. So if we go for the comfort zone first, we can go to the Six of Pentacles. And in the Marseilles deck, this particular one, it's been designed so that the cards are exactly twice as high as they are wide. What does that mean to us? Well, it means that it's divided into the heavenly realm, things that want to go more for the higher vibration, the inner higher self, and then dividing that from things of more of a physical world nature, something that is more oriented towards the physical world life, the grounded energy, celestial energy. And in this particular case with the six, if we look at it that way, we have two threes, the three up in the seven in the celestial realm and the three in the physical realm. And not only is three a stable number in that, like the three-legged stool, when they call out something that you need to be balanced and to be able to stand on its own and be functioning accordingly. You're talking about the three-legged stool. And so you've got a three-legged stool here in the celestial realm, and you've got a three-legged stool in the earthly realm. Not only is it stable, however, the other factor here is the creative urge that comes from the number 3. So nature likes to be balanced. And as above, so below. Things that are balanced on the earth and things that are balanced in the heavens at the same time, therefore, have a lot more oomph, if you will. They take the mundane and get creative with it. They take the celestial and get more creative with it. So do you see why I'm talking about this as a beneficial factor here? And so who's to say that this might not just be the components, that this lends itself to opening up this gateway, and this gateway then turns around and makes the potential confusion of something like the 9 of Wands get more settled, get more smooth. Why? Well, certainly you know what's going on in your world. And if something in your world is, there's an if factor, but there's also a completion factor. There's a comfort zone factor, like the 10 of Cups feels solid, settled, a done deal, if you will. But then on the other side of that is something that's niggling, like a 9 of Wands. The 9 of Wands can be a drama queen factor of Wands, right? I mean, it can be, you can get into the drama of being the wounded warrior, for instance. You can get into the drama of, well, I've got a 9 of Wands condition here, and, like in the Rider-Waite deck where you're looking at the warrior who's got a bandage around his head, all kinds of wands there. Well, the idea, I think, that smooths it out and makes it possible to take advantage of the power and the empowerment that's available in the 9 of Wands is to take out the drama factor. Okay? So we want to have the 10 of Wands, or we want to have the 10 of Cups. Feels good. And how about the idea that now we experienced, if we are earth signs, then this is home territory. And we're experiencing a balance, a stability, and a creativity all rolled into one in our world, home territory. Then how about just taking that raw energy without giving it a name like wands or anything else, and consider the fact that here we have, this is 2 times 3. This is 3 times 3. So do you see why I'm pointing out the idea of the empowerment and the potential power that's available in the 9 of Wands? That's for your use. So looking at this, I mean, if there's some kind of a financial thing going on or some kind of a home life thing or something that relates to your physical world, and if this is the overall driving factor here, then what we're looking at here is we're looking at contributing energy. There's no great shakes of any sort, although the 10 of Cups can be an awesome great shake, right? But there's no major arcana. There's no blasts from the trumpet from the heavens, from some angelic figure that's up in the heavens. So it's coming to me like it's a grounded type of month, February for you, that we're going to get a chance to experience some celestial events during the month with Aquarius and with Jupiter and Saturn being in Aquarius. So maybe it's a good month to sit back a little bit, rest on our haunches, rest with, let the moment, the factor of being at a completion point, embrace you so that you can stretch out with your intuition, with your creative self and your intuition, and reach out and find out where is the factor that wants to take you forward. Let's move to the divine masculine yang line. Yang, you're starting out with a wonderful major arcana. Strength. And then you go to the 4 of Wands. Wow. In the Yang line, there's a lot of feminine. So let's talk about how balanced you are, Yang, with your own internal yin and yang, or divine feminine and divine masculine. Because the call here is strong. It's strong energy. And maybe it's saying to you that you are, in fact, balanced, but the divine masculine within you is far more developed than the divine feminine. And maybe it's time to, if you choose to do this, to go this direction, maybe it's time to go to that higher alchemical level, the higher vibration level of the divine feminine within you. I mean, the fact that there's no divine masculine showing up tells me that you're okay. in that realm. And now it's a matter of what are you going to get out of it when you bring the other up to snuff? And I would be ready to be very excited, because that could be more dynamic than your imagination can even tell you right now. And look at what sits in the middle of those two archetypal queens. Stability in your passion, in your intuition, in your fire. So, remember I was talking just a second ago about what is there to be gained? Well, how about your energy level? What if you found that just by balancing the the strength type of energy and the Empress type of energy, to bring that up to a balance with your let's say you're already there at that level with your divine masculine, your yang, bringing the yin inside you up to that. Stability, but stability with fire. Stability with fire. It feels dynamic. That just sent a jolt of energy up my spine. It's just like it feels full of fire. Potential, inspirational type of energy. So let's remember, if you're going for it, let's remember that there's a quality about these two archetypal ladies. And in particular, for all the figures that are in the divine feminine aspect with the major arcana. These two particularly are the strong suits where it comes to being grounded. It's the whole purpose of that type of strength. Why is that card what it is? It's implying a development of your spirit, your soul, that takes into account the heavenly and the earthly, the celestial and the mundane. Likewise, this is the queen of creativity, the Empress, who, along with the Emperor, rules the roost in terms of earthly energy, being able to express and represent all that there is needed to bring what your game is, the highest game, to Earth. And for Earth signs, this is once again home territory for you. It's saying, well, just like it did in the Yin line, it's saying that the earthly energy is, maybe you walk around thinking that you have everything that you need all the time in your earthly energy. Well, try asking yourself what's the next step, considering that the sky's the limit and you're never going to stop having potential to evolve. For every breath you take on this planet, you ask yourself that question, even if you're complacent, then see how you're doing here. That makes sense? So I'm saying that the earth sign energy here is being highlighted in terms of you're good where you are, but there's more. It's just saying there's more. These cards are very, very awesome. Okay. We're going to go to the archetypals. And the 4 cards. They're going to appear right over there. First one we got 18. Number 2, 21. Number 3, 6. Number 4, 16. What's the next step? Well, this line here, this archetypal line, relates to everything above it, everything that's been laid out thus far. It's an overall global viewpoint, umbrella concept. What is the environment? It's like a biosphere. It's like an archetypal biosphere that where these other cards that are up here, they're living in this biosphere. So here's the biosphere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 16, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So the overall situation is that the Chariot. So what that's saying is that the next step is action. It's not about contemplation, although you can take the time that you need to contemplate. But the essence here is action. It's something that, wants to be applied right away. You go, okay, well, I could hang out and just wait and see if I think I can do this, or you can gain knowledge by taking the first step. And you know that there's nothing that comes out of the box and is perfect right away. So I wouldn't stress about it, but at the same time, I would consider the fact that your pathway for this evolution that you're going to go through, if you want to take a next step, is based on acting. Your obstacle is perhaps you are not wanting to go higher right now, or something standing in your way that makes you think that you're not capable of it. It's got components of it that it's the unknown, right? You got a birthing here, right? Birthing anything takes time, consideration, and it ain't easy, right? Your asset and the strength in your back pocket, in your toolbox, is the Hermit. That's your key to this. We'll get into that in a second. And once again, look at this. So Yang, remember you're here. You got the strength card too, right? Okay. So there's some kind of a big deal with Yang. The Yang energy, the divine masculine portion of any part of you or your partnership. The Yang has a leadership role. The Yang has some kind of an extra something to give, an extra call to be responsible, an extra need for you to be there for someone else, perhaps, an extra level of energy, digging deeper, to try out, to actually qualify that level of connectedness with your earthly self through the strength card, right? So it's apropos that she was here in Yang to not only give direction, that Yang, the going to a higher vibration with your energy in terms of the divine feminine and the yin part of you, and qualifying that and saying, and it's specific. It's not just any yin. It's strength yin. Okay, the strength. So the idea, if you're going to contemplate, and I think that this is saying that you are going to need to, what to contemplate is, what does that mean to you? What is what is the strength yin? What is the strength of yin? The yin strength yin into you. You have to figure out what kind of strength, what kind of different strengths there are available to a human being. Then how do you divide them up? Is anything solely the realm of the masculine? Is anything solely the realm of the feminine in terms of strength? And then where does it cross over? Where does it cross over? And where on that whole spectrum does that strength fit in? So let's talk about these two for a second. You got an obstacle of judgment, and you've got a strength, an asset of the Hermit. Well, it's interesting. Notice that the Hermit is facing the awareness card. And rightly so, because the Hermit is actually walking backwards into the future, into what's next, into what's the next step. I like it. I mean, when it's poetic like that, it tickles me. The idea of the cards and how they're just so magical. So the Hermit is the one who guides you spiritually, right? But guides you not only spiritually, like up in the ozone with conceptual things, actually physically guides you with his lantern. And so your asset is that you got the nod from your personal hermit that he'll be there for you. Follow the lantern light, though. That's your task, is to follow the lantern light. Because there's something that's freaked you out or something. I don't actually know how to say this. It's coming like it is fear, but I think it's the kind of fear that's not based on seeing anything like the boogeyman or a monster or a ghost. It's that imagination factor that tells you that, oh, well, I should be afraid of this, or I should have second thoughts. Maybe that it's just as simple as that, second thoughts. But once again, look, his light will guide you through that second thought moment. And then, bingo, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is once again the strength card. And you could do so much worse. This is like a benefit beyond belief in the sense that you have the opportunity and the permission, give yourself permission to get the most out of it you can. And then what happens is you find out what strength is. You find out, you share it. And maybe your task, Yang, I had said before, and this just came to me, that I had said before that your task was to get the specifics about the type of strength that is available to us and the type of, what does it mean? These particular feminine qualities, divine feminine qualities. What is it? Where does it fit in your spectrum? Where does it fit in your understanding of how to be strong, how to be empowered? Because it may just well be, I had said that I thought before, I felt that perhaps you had some role of leadership because of the major arcana that you had in your line, Yang. So, and then I said that you may find yourself having to turn around and pay it forward. You may have to be there for someone. That may be the pot of gold. That kind of a sharing and that kind of partnership, a synchronistic move towards the next step, is got the blessing of strength. And it's not just nothing. There's the infinity sign. I mean, it's not that infinity sign there didn't end up there on all the decks and all the cards that show strength by accident. So let me throw out a few. That's the reading. I'll recap in a sec, but let me throw out a few clarifying cards for some things here. I want to see just about the 9. I want to clarify a little bit about the 9 of Wands. A new beginning in that same realm. It's a progression. So the yin line is there's looking like whatever this next step is, it's being faced as a passionate opportunity, something that really feels down in your gut like you are heading for inspirational territory. And you want to probably walk carefully into that realm. Keep the flow going of your stability. Because, like I was saying, this is stable, highly stable, but it's also got something that wants to be completed. It's not feeling totally complete in its 3 and 3 state, right? So this is a moment of keeping to simple stuff. Don't get distracted by appearances. It may appear to be more of a challenge or more of a trial than it needs to be. And so I think the Four of Swords is just saying to stay rested, take breaks, walk with that so that you can maintain that balance of the Four of Swords. And you got a lot to think about. Anything that's dynamic is a lot to think about. And you got a lot to think about. So take breaks and remind yourself that Rome wasn't built in a day and that the patience factor is going to be huge. And I want to see if we'll stay with wands. That was wands in the yin line. And I want to see about wands in the yang line. That Four of Wands, I want to see if there's anything clarifying wise that wants to be said about that. Knight of Swords. Action again. King of Cups. Okay. And the Strength card again. Yang. The Strength card is all over this. So immediately what I saw here was, I read these yin lines and yang lines like they were so just all the yin is yin energies, all the yin people, yangs, all the yang energies, but just as individual lines. But if I relate this now to a partnership, let's say there's a relationship here, you and somebody else, yang. There's a factor here of the, Four of Wands showing up right underneath the level of completion. So yin, the yin part of this partnership may be saying that there's an evolution that's taken place with them that has brought them to that level of having completed a very important cycle. And the call to yang, and this may be why Yang, you have to bring up your divine feminine, is to walk into the game as the King of Cups. So you're resonating on a similar level to Yin. And I think, with the Knight of Swords, they're saying that the Yang, and let's just, if we follow along that same line of thought, that the Yang is going to be looked to and called upon to take the action. And it's up to Yang to be responsible for making sure it doesn't get out of control, making sure you don't go rushing headlong into the fray and you're left without your head on straight, let's say. It's up to you. For the final pass here, I'm going to throw out 4 ViceVersa cards. On the one on each of the archetypal blended energies line. Ace of Wands. Page of Swords. Two of Swords. King of Cups again. Wow. There's all kinds of crossovers here, crossover references here to the cards above. So here's the first one. If you have a relationship going, the Yin representative in that relationship, whoever is the Yin in the duality, is driving the whole show. Why do I say that? Because that's the only indication in this whole reading, in the Yin line, that something has been completed. And if there wants to be a next step, then that completion opens the gate to the next step. Because you can't it just won't stay like that. Life doesn't work that way. So both Yin and Yang have been called upon to take action, but in the overall scene, whatever it is that you are endeavoring to call your next step in your partnership, Yin's driving it. Why does that make sense? Because Yin is got the sense of that completion within. And that when you've been around the block and you get back and you are complete with that getting around the block, you are the authority in a way. You are the one who can say, been there and done that. And with the obstacle, then the obstacle is got the Page of Swords. And so the Page of Swords is a way to the embodiment of a way to take thinking about things and maybe thinking too much about things to a higher level or to a new paradigm. So if there was ever a clear indication that that's with an obstacle, the key to help get through this, it's the idea of a paradigm shift, looking at things in a new way. All of a sudden, something that was seen before as an obstacle now becomes your ally, something that will actually help you along the way. For the Hermit, and we have the Two of Swords. Well, in twos in the hero's journey, that is the call to take the voyage to your. It's like being presented the opportunity to go on the hero's journey. And in this case, it's your hero's journey. So it's kind of just a reinforcement that there's some challenges there's a paradigm shift along with, learning what it means to follow the lantern from the Hermit. That's all effort. That's all work. And it's all good stuff. I mean, everything, I think it was a nice Nin. I don't know if I pronounced her name right, but I think she said everything is driven by desire. So you got to want this to begin with. You got to want this next step. And once you do, the work that you have to do is normal. It's the kind of thing that happens when you start on a new adventure, and especially if it's the hero's journey. And some part of you, earth signs, is already sitting in the driver's seat. See, the vice versa has two sides. The front side is when you're outside the frame looking in. The back side is when you embody it. And you are already into the King of Cups. You are the embodiment. Somewhere within you is that embodiment. Now it has to be born. And that may be why there's an obstacle there. Because what are we most afraid of? Our greatness. Not our weaknesses and not all that other stuff. We're most afraid of our greatness. How great we are, how much we're capable of. So, I'm going to call that the recap. I was going to do a separate session for the recap, but I think it's pretty clear. And so, with that, I leave it for February, and I wish you the best of Februaries. I wish the Aquarians and the Pisceans in February, who will have their birthdays, happy birthday. And I look forward to seeing you in March. Thanks for joining me. Love y'all. Bye.